Hi everyone, I'm Susan Mulvihill and welcome back to my garden. This is the second in a series of videos about growing vegetables through the winter months, especially in northern climates. I've just finished planting this bed. I have Vates kale and Minutina growing here. Both of these are exceptionally cold tolerant and I'm so excited to see how they do because I've never grown them before. Now there's two things I want you to keep in mind as you plant your bed or beds. And fortunately, you're learning from my mistakes, so you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of where I was when I started doing this. Make sure that you follow the plant spacing recommendations on your seed packets. For example, Vates kale needs to be 8 to 10 to 12 inches apart. So I made sure that I followed that spacing when I planted them. The Minutina just needs 6 inches apart, so that's what you're seeing here. Why is this important? Well, if you try to cram a lot of plants into your bed and you have any type of insect problem, the closer they are, it's easier for bugs like slugs to move from plant to plant, and it's also more stressful for the plants and they won't grow as well. So remember about your spacing. The other thing is, over the past 2 winters, what I've done is I've planted multiple crops in a bed, and I've planted one crop in a line here, one crop in a line here, and another type in the third row. But then what I found was all winter long, if I wanted to harvest something, I'm reaching over these plants here to get to what was in the back, and it was just a nuisance more than anything. So this year what I'm doing is I'm planting things in blocks. So that way if I want some Minutina, I'm just snipping in the front here or maybe in this row, but I'm not trying to reach over something tall to get to something back here. Now, I want to show you what I do to protect them. First of all, because kale is a member of the cabbage family, it's very susceptible to those little green inchworms called cabbage loopers, and also susceptible to aphids. Now this is just the end of August, and so there's still plenty of insects around. What I'm going to do is cover this bed temporarily with some floating row cover just to keep them safe. As I mentioned in my previous video, we are using a hoop house to cover 2 raised beds to grow veggies through the winter. But you don't have to do something that tricky. Instead, I'm going to show you a different way to do it. We grow our veggies in raised beds, but even if you don't have raised beds, you can still use this idea. Do you see how there are white pipes on the outsides of this raised bed? Those are 10-inch lengths of 1-inch diameter PVC pipe. We screw them to the outsides of the bed, and then we're using 1/2-inch diameter black plastic flexible sprinkler pipe that we insert into the PVC pipes, and voila, we have instant hoop system. If you don't have a raised bed, an alternative would be to buy some short lengths of rebar, pound them into the ground, and then you would slip these pipes over the rebar and have a nice sturdy support system. Now, I mentioned in an earlier video that we have a hoop house. That is what we use to protect our plants from the cold, but that's not going to be moved for a while. So the first thing I need to do today, this was planting day, remember, is to cover this bed with floating row cover. It acts as a physical barrier to keep insects out. It will still let in air, light, and moisture, but it's a great way to give the plants a little bit of frost protection if need be, and especially to keep the insects out. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is if you're going with just these types of hoops and covering the bed, once there's a danger of frost, you want to cover the bed with plastic, and that will help protect the plants. Make sure that you weight it down around the edges with bricks or wood or anything that's heavy so that it won't blow away in a windstorm. Okay, so let me show you what the floating row cover looks like, and then stay tuned for the next video. Okay, this is what floating row cover looks like, and now this bed is all tucked in. You can find floating row cover online or at large well-stocked garden centers. Happy gardening!